is 888-344-1170. 888-344-1170. Give us a call right now. Get on the air with Gary Quackenbush and Anthony Wright. Anthony, how are you today, man?
Hey, Gary, how are you, my friend? I tell you, I am fantastic. If I was any better, I'd be twins, and then there would be two of me.
Wow. I can't even imagine.
Then Noah would get two cheeseburgers.
Two cheeseburgers. You say stuff.
Make that a double-double, Anthony. Sign me up.
Double, baby.
A double. That's not two cheeseburgers. That's just a double.
Hey, that's one of the best hamburgers around, but we're not endorsing anybody.
5 by 5. You can get a 5 by 5. I knew some kid that went by. He used to work there, and he said, "Yeah, my challenge is, somebody, if you could eat a 5 by 5." Like, really? That's
my son's done it.
That's 1.5 pounds.
I didn't even know there was a 5 by 5. After our seminar that night, Tom took me over, and I had a double, and your lovely bride was the one who told me to get it protein style, so I got it without the bun. But I didn't know there was such a thing as a 5 by 5, or I would have got that.
Anthony, it's the secret language of the restaurant where you just have to.
And I only know that, Anthony, one, because I used to go there all the time, and two, my son used to work there for an extended period of time, so I kind of got the inside scoop.
Well, thanks for telling me now.
I know.
It does you no good now.
Yeah. Well, but they, and the thing is, those particular hamburgers, they can't ship because they're spoiled. But we have some other restaurants that have, I think there's kind of a golden Archie thing to it. We can send them anywhere in the world because they will never spoil. Oh my gosh, that sounds like something for the Andrea K show. But this is the Word on Wealth, and we're going to be talking about money. We've got Anthony right here. Give him a call to want to find out about your money. I was with a lady yesterday, and she said, or what is today? Today's, whoa, it was Monday. And she said, "So Gary, I need somebody to give me financial advice. What was Anthony's number?" I said, 931 retired. And she says, 931 retired. I said, yes, 93. She's writing it at 931. And then what are the rest of the numbers? Says, I don't know. RETIRED. And she goes, RETIRED. Hey, that's just enough. Okay, I can do that. Will I be able to talk to Anthony? I said, you're going to be able to talk to Anthony's team because they have intake team. They got their specialty teams, all that over there at the retirement specialty group. And so she said, I will give him a call. So keep that number, man. 931 retired.
Appreciate that. I've talked to several of your clients this week, buddy.
Well, good.
Yep.
Now, are you still giving away the free book? Is that still available, like for the next couple of weeks at least?
It is. It's still available, and they get the free book, and they get the free.
Anthony, is that the same book that I was so graciously handed by you the other day when you were here in San Diego? We're going to be talking about it on my show.
That's it. That's right. That's it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com
and get your free book. Yeah. Plus, they get a free screening on the investments to know what they're investing in, so they'll know what their money's invested in.
I was talking to somebody just the other day about that, and it was funny. He said, religion has nothing to do with investments. And I said, well, it has everything to do with investments. He said, it does not. Religion should stay out of it. It has nothing to do with investments. So I explained, I said, actually, in my life, religion has everything to do with everything, because it's how I behave. It's how I raise my kids. It's how I spend my money. It's how I earn my money. I always want to make sure that it passes this test. And that is my litmus test is if I look at what I'm, how I'm earning my money, am I doing it honestly? Am I
Anthony, I'll ask you this. I was just thinking about this. Even if you're not a religious individual, although I would pray for you each and every day. Wouldn't you want your money to line up with your values regardless?
Well, absolutely, 100%. That's the way you and Gary and myself, that's the way that we live our lives. But for some unknown reason, people don't want to live their lives that way. They kind of want to put on a facade, and they want to pretend to be this, this religious person, but yet they don't want you to dive deeper and see what's in there. They don't want you to look deep down and see what they're really funding. So I agree with you guys 100%. That's the way we all live our lives. And even if let's be honest, even if you wasn't a religious person, right? Wouldn't you still want your finances, and wouldn't you still want what you're invested in to line up with your beliefs? I mean, whether you're a religious person or whether you're not, you still should live your life that your walk matches your talk, right?
There's no question. Because if
Yeah.
you, I mean, by the same token, there are some companies out there that are really trashy. And I mean, from a moral standpoint, they're morally trashy garbage. I would never frequent there. I would never go there, but they're publicly traded, or they are being supported by publicly traded companies. And if I invest in that publicly traded company, they're going to give money to a cause or something that I absolutely would not have anything to do with. Yet a lot of people go, but it makes good money. I went, really? That's called filthy lucre. It's like, if your money is being made by things, I mean, I don't know anybody, literally all the people I contact and talk, I don't know if any of them, if I said, do you realize by investing in that particular company that you're supporting the pornography industry, the industry where they have kids, the ages of your children, and they have them, on these websites and stuff like that, and pornography. Do you realize you're supporting that? There is not one single one of them would say, there's no way. Then I have no idea. I'm not going to support that company ever again. But most people don't want to know. And they're just turning a blind eye and saying, well, I didn't know any better. And that's the thing about this. Right. I've even seen, okay, so when you do the Bible safe screening, we're calling it Bible safe investing. We're calling it, faith-based investing, because it has to do with, the basic Christian values and basic Christian tenets of honesty and integrity and doing good to your fellow man, taking care of your society and your people. And then we're trying to invest in companies that do that. But by the same token, it doesn't matter whether you're religious or not. If you feel like you want to be a contributor to society and not the dark and black side of society, then don't invest in things that support the black side of society. Dark side. Stay away from the dark, man. Agreed. All right. Well, I have talked so much. When we get back, Anthony, I want to have you talk to us and tell us more about kind of what the market is doing now and where to go. I'm just hearing too much stuff where, oh my gosh, the real estate market is crashing, and don't invest in anything, and put your money in T-bills and just sit there and just wait this thing out because of the unemployment rates. And there's just too many false and crazy numbers out there. And I hear one statistic, and next thing you know, that it's like, and then there's an apology or a correction, but that's in the little tiny part that's in the lower corner, but then the bad. So I want to kind of have you calm us down about the market and help us feel good about our investing and where things are going with the U.S. markets and international markets, but basically what's happening with our money. That's what we want to go to coming up next on this show. Does that sound good?
Yes, I would love to. Be honored to. Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to do that. You're listening to The Word on Wealth with Anthony Wright.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We are here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com. 855-500-TRUST.
You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is Faith-Based Investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christian families don't understand this one thing. The money that you're saving for retirement helps fund the abortion industry as well as other liberal anti-family causes. It's the sad, dirty little secret of American investing world. And here's the good news, though. You probably also didn't know that just a few minutes of your time, and we'll screen and clean your investments for you. There's no cost, no obligation. Learn the truth about your own investment mix. Then the choice is yours. Remember, the word says when God's money is in the hands of the righteous, the people rejoice. Well, we also are fiduciary investment advisor representatives. That means that our firm makes a pledge to always act in your best interest. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com. Download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing, or call me at 931-RETIRED. And please don't forget, listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
team at GQ Law are experts at solving IRS and state tax problems. Talk about that.
When people have a tax problem, it tends to really stress them out. And one of the things we've been able to do is figure out how to resolve tax problems. One thing we might be doing is setting up a payment plan or getting a collection delay, maybe getting a determination that the person shouldn't have to pay the taxes at all. We do offers and compromise. We do audit reconsiderations. And one of the things that's a really powerful tool that some people don't recognize is sometimes bankruptcy can be used to actually eliminate taxes when there's certain conditions of the code that are met. So we can do all kinds of things. After we analyze your situation, we can figure out what's available, discuss your options, and figure out which ones to implement, what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. And we can get people out from under all kinds of tax problems so they can sleep again. That's our goal.
Request your free initial consultation. GQLaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, GQLaw.com.
Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Well, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, GQLaw.com.
You're live.
Welcome to Word on Wealth. You've got Anthony Wright, the famous Anthony Wright. He has his own radio talk show. He does it all over the nation on XM Sirius Radio, which is super awesome. Anthony is the founder and president of Retirement Specialty Group. His phone number is 931 retired. And this guy is awesome. And we have him cornered here on this show. Anthony, will you talk to us about the market? A lot of people, with all these numbers coming out and I don't know, spy balloons sailing across the United States. I think people kind of get wigged out about, oh no, the sky is falling. And I know having a balloon fall out of the sky that you just blew up with an F-22 is falling, but what's happening with our market now? Are we good? Should we be in it? Should we be careful? What's up?
Appreciate that question. And, in 73 years of history, only twice has the market ever been a down market back-to-back years. Only twice. So that's a lot of history. And for the year right now, we are up. So it appears that we're not going to repeat last year. Last year was a down market. If history repeats itself, which it normally does, we will not have a down market this year. We will have an up market. And we're already beginning to see that. January, we got a nice bounce. February is looking good. We had a little bit of pullback there for a couple of days, but all total, we're up about 15% already for the year. So we've had a nice little bounce there in January. And as should we be in the market? Absolutely, 100% you should be in the market, because the market is the only instrument that's going to allow you to outpace inflation. Now, the key to being in the market, Gary, is that we don't want to just go blindly into the market. We want to go into the market in defensive stocks. Well, people say, well, yeah, defensive stock sounds great since we blew that balloon up, that spent 5 days going across America collecting all the evidence that they needed. And then somehow we decide once it gets all the way on the other side of the country, it's time to blow it up. But okay, whatever. So, yeah, defense sounds great. So, but it's not that kind of defense. It's a defense against a bad economy. That's what we mean by defensive stocks. So things that are going to do good, whether it's a good economy or a bad economy, right? I mean, there's just certain things. Look, Gary, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how bad the economy is. People are going to go buy their coffee. People are going to go to, they're going to go buy their tea, I mean, their soda. I mean, you can just go on and on and on. There's just certain things, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big ice cream guy. So, no matter what the economy does, I'm going to go get my ice cream, right?
Are you telling me that there's an ice cream stock that I should be in, Anthony?
I'm telling you, there's a good possibility of that.
Because I think we were talking about, faith-based investing and having my stocks and everything and, keeping it out of the FANG and keeping it in stuff that does it even better, but also I can feel good about. But I do want to be able to support the companies that I love. And that is, I guess, certain ice cream companies as well, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, also you want to, a lot of people, what's called, they go into the market, what's called naked, I guess, if I took my Southern accent out of it, but they go into the market naked, and so what that means is they're going in there uncovered. And that is about 95% of the advisors across the country. That's the way they enter the market. Those are called passive advisors. And we are an aggressive advisor, and we use a very tactical approach. We use a strategic approach a lot of times. And, if you just kind of let those two words talk to you, passive is exactly what it means, and aggressive is exactly what it means. So because we're aggressive, that means we're going to watch your portfolio on a daily basis. We're going to put stop losses in place just in case that we miss the mark. We are professionals. We've been doing it 15 years, but let's be honest. Sometimes we think that the market's going to go up and we're in an up position and we're ready for it to go up, and then it turns and goes against us. Well, we have a parachute there that we can deploy. If the market goes against us, we deploy that stop loss parachute, and we're able to stop out even though we were wrong. So we cover our backside. So we don't go into it. And there's a terminology out there that some people are familiar with, a covered call.
Mm-hmm.
So there's covered calls, and then there's naked calls. And a naked call means you just go into it randomly, just, hey, I'm just going to buy this option. I think that this stock is just going to skyrocket, and you have no reason, no rhyme, no reason, no plan. That's just a naked call. Well, if you own a stock, say we own, I don't know, stock in Domino's Pizza or something, right? And then we want to go out and we want to generate some income. Well, we can sell what's called a covered call. Well, you're covering that call because you already own the stock. Now you can turn around and you can sell the option, and you collect that option money, and you get to keep that money. So that becomes a source of income. So you can do covered calls. You don't want to do naked calls. So you want to do covered calls. Well, you want to do your trading the same way. You want your advisor to cover you in case the advisor is wrong. So we cover ourselves with the stop loss. And then just like we cover ourselves, we've got some clients right now making pretty good money just doing covered calls and selling covered calls. So, we there's a lot of strategies we use. And in some instances, we will take the money that we generate on a covered call and we will turn around and buy a put. And when you buy a put, a lot of people probably listening today don't understand that you can actually make money when the market goes down. Now that sounds terrible. Sounds like, oh man, why would you want the market to go down? Well, because we've placed a put or we've placed a short. So it's called a short or a put. And if you short the market, now I hate to use this guy's name even in the same sentence, but George Soros, that's where he became a billionaire. He shorted the market. Absolutely an evil guy. I hate to even use his name in the same sentence on the airways, but so folks understand, he shorted the market, and that's how he made his billions. So if you short the market, let's just say you buy a pair of tennis shoes for $250, but let's say you know that those tennis shoes, you're going to go out here and you're going to wear them out, and it's just like I borrow them from you. Say they're brand new, Gary, and I borrow them from you. You go, well, Anthony, I think you're a great guy. Okay, sure, okay, here, I'll loan them to you. You know, well, I go out and I do hiking and I run and I do all kinds of things for the next month, and then all of a sudden I go, oh man, I've ruined Gary's shoes, right? I got to go get him a new pair of shoes. Well, now I go over to Academy Sports or Dick's Sporting Goods, and those same shoes that you bought for $250 are now worth $150. So I just go in there and buy them for $150 and give you back a new pair of shoes. That's what shorting the market does. And what Soros figured out to do was he figured out how to create chaos. As you well know, that's what he does. And so he created chaos, and the market tanked. And when it tanked, he kept the difference between the 250 and the 150. So he kept $100 a pair and sold multi-billion pairs. So that's why he's a wanted man to this day. That's why there's countries that want him arrested and thrown in prison, because what he did was terrible. But that's how he did it. He did it by shorting the market. And so we can place what's called, shorts. We can place what's called puts. So even though the market may be dropping, we can place a put. This happened last week. A client called and said, oh my gosh, my stock is down. And I noticed my stock's down. And I'm like, well, that's what you want. That's what you want. You're making money. What? How am I making money? My stock's down 10 points. I said, yeah, stock's down 10 points, but look how much money you've made. Oh, I didn't know that. See, so they thought they were losing money. No, we had puts placed on the account. They're actually making money as the market drops. So that's the cool stuff that we do as active traders, because we're actively engaged. The more money I make my client, the more money I make.
Well, that was an excellent explanation. I've had people try to tell me that and explain that, but what a fantastic explanation. That's why you are good on the radio. You're good at explaining things. You're an excellent teacher and instructor. And I appreciate that. That is absolutely fascinating. And it seems like there are like really simple conventional ways to offset loss and take advantage of gain. And then there's also more creative ways that are different, I can see, where you're talking about when you're going in and you're protecting and covering and taking care of your clients. And that is by putting in machines that help you on if there's a downside, then the stop loss is going to come in and convert the investments to where they're not going to drop anymore. And then you've got all these other things, the puts and calls, which you just don't hear about that a lot. I don't hear that from a lot of financial advisors that I've interviewed with. They don't even talk about this at all. It's this mutual fund is doing this, and we're going to sit it there for a while, and then we're going to here's this mutual fund that's doing this. And it's like, they're really just shopping for mutual funds. They're shopping for mutual fund advisors to put your money in, rather than actually doing the work like you're doing to actually make the fund perform and do what it needs to do. So I really appreciate your explanation of that. You guys, to get Anthony to help you out and his people, his team, his incredible team to help you with your financial success, it's 931-RETIRED. 931-RETIRED. You can also go to his website, BibleSafeInvesting.com. BibleSafeInvesting.com, and you can get a book that's called his book on Bible Safe Investing. Now, there's one thing that Anthony has said before, and I wanted really to kind of get that out too, is a lot of people think, oh, faith-based, that's so sweet and kumbaya, and that's really nice. That must mean that they're just going to, hold my money in a savings account, or, faith-based has nothing to do with whether the investments are passive or aggressive. It's the company. Anthony puts you into stocks that help you match your walk to your talk. and that you can make money on doing things that are going to be based on your own beliefs, your own societal issues and all that stuff. And that's what Anthony does. He does the hard work, and we appreciate him for that. 931 retired. Anthony, I told you I'd be smarter by the end of the show, and I really learned a lot today. Really appreciate everything you did, man. Have a great day.
Thanks, my friend. I appreciate you. You guys have a good one.
All right, you guys, coming up next, a little bit more. I got a couple of questions about a family business and wrap up on Anthony Wright. Coming up next.
Hear it all that time?
We've got questions.
Thank you very
We've
much.
got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com. You're not alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's GQLaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
You're live.
Welcome to the Word on Wealth. It was always great to have a Thursday and have our favorite financial advisor, financial fiduciary, financial master, the one and only Anthony Wright. And I know I'm not blowing it up too much on him. He's a great guy in person, wonderful guy. His office is not in California, it's in Tennessee. The world is electronic, guys. You can meet with him on the phone, you can meet with him on Zoom. You can go out to Tennessee and visit him. But his team of specialists out there at the Retirement Specialty Group, they're great people. And so I highly recommend, if you want to find out, ways to structure investments, are they done right for you? What can they do for you? It's 931 Retired. We're really proud to have him and his company, Retirement Specialty Group, here as a partner on the Word on Wealth Radio. It is all about wealth, dollar signs with Anthony, which is wonderful, and we really appreciate that. Our show coming up tomorrow, I just kind of wanted to kind of get you guys kind of excited about tomorrow. We always have good guests on Fridays, but we're starting to come up with we're being creative and figuring out, who can we have for our guests? What can they tell us about? What's super important? This Friday, tomorrow, that is, we have Chad Stewart. Chad Stewart is an author. He has got a movie thing coming up and we're going to talk to him about basically the business and what he's doing and how he's excited about it. What we're doing on Friday is our mental health feature. Typically, we're talking about your mental health. We're going to be talking about physical health, and we're going to be talking about opportunities, these small businesses that are going to help show what they're doing to kind of make our community and our world a better place, which I just think I'm thrilled about that. The rest of the week, we're doing like we usually do, Medicare Monday. We got mortgages on Tuesday, real estate on Wednesday. We got Thursday, we got Anthony Wright. And then Friday, we're going to have our super show on Feel Good Friday. So that's coming up tomorrow. Oh, so good. I had somebody asked me today, and I wanted to describe this. These are the things that we're all starting to understand a lot better. But I was being asked again about putting things into a living trust. And the question was, why should I put my car in a trust? The purpose of the living trust, yes, avoiding probate is a big deal. Okay, that's important. But I think the important part about the living trust, in addition to avoiding probate, which is expensive and slow, and who does that affect? That affects the beneficiaries. It affects you because the expense will come out of the estate, and so less will go to your loved ones and beneficiaries. But when you're putting property into the trust now while you're alive, what you're doing is you're making it simpler to transfer your hard-earned money to your beneficiaries and your heirs. Okay, so if property is not in the trust, titled in the name of the trust when you pass away, then that property, there's other legal work that has to be done to transfer the property to the trust so that then the trust can distribute the money to your beneficiaries and heirs. So what we're doing is you here are taking the time to do things like putting property in your trust because it's going to save time for your heirs. Sometimes that's not as big of a deal as you think. Some people they're not so concerned with that. It's like, hey, my kids are getting all my money. They can hire the attorney and they can do whatever they need to do. Let's just keep it out of probate. And that's fine. Especially when you're young and you get a trust because you're trying to care for your children with guardian designation and protecting them. And when you're doing that, putting your car in the trust, then who knows how many cars you're going to have over the, between now and for the rest of your life, who knows? I think that transferring cars to the trust, that gets the more valuable the car is, the more important it is to put in the trust. Usually when you're young married and you're dealing with your kids and trying to keep food on the table and all that, you're not so concerned about a big, expensive, fancy car. You're worried more about taking care of your children and having money in your trust through life insurance and through your retirement savings and the money that you're putting away in your aggressive saving program. That's the stuff you want to have in your trust so that it can be here to benefit your family in the event of your passing or in the event of you becoming incapacitated. Okay. So putting your car in, if you're to that point, that's probably it's not one of the first things I would put in. It's one of the last things I would put in. But yes, putting a car in the trust it's important. It can be done. It should be done. If you haven't done it and you don't have time, then don't worry about it. Just make sure your big stuff is in there for sure. So you were talking about what's perfect and what is adequate. And adequate is your house and your big bank account or your investment account. Adequate is having those in the trust. Okay. The number 2 thing. The issue came up on the advisor, the financial advisor, had told the client, you don't have to put it in your trust because there's a beneficiary designation. And the beneficiary, your daughter, is going to receive the money when you die. Is that what you want? Well, the answer to the question is, she said, yes, when I die, I want my money in this investment account to go to my daughter because it's all I have. I've saved it my whole life. It's all my money. And I want my daughter to have it because she's a great person. She's got a couple of children. So she's brought me my grandchildren. So yes, I want her to have it. So then the financial advisor just said, then you don't need to put it in your trust. You just need to designate beneficiary as your daughter, or designate the transfer on death or the pay on death recipient as your daughter. Okay. That's not bad advice, but I don't think it's good advice. Because my concern is not always what happens to property when you die. My concern is the 70% chance that we all have of becoming incapacitated, not just physically incapacitated, but incompetent, mentally incompetent. Okay. So if you're mentally incompetent, you can't manage your own money. And if you can't manage your own money, that means you can't pay your bills, you can't pay for the hospital, you can't pay for your food, you can't pay for, repairs or whatever. And so the only person that's going to be able to do that is your successor trustee. If your successor trustee doesn't have access to the money, that's going to be a problem. Okay. Because if your successor trustee is ready, willing, and able to work, but the bank account and that big investment account is not in the trust, they don't have access to it. So that to me is a problem. I want to make sure that investment accounts, the big stuff especially, is in the trust so that we don't have any issues during incapacity, incompetency, or once you pass away. If you have questions on this, we've got lines open. You can call and ask me, 888-344-1170. That's 888-344-1170. You can call, ask me your questions. I'll be able to answer it right here. Hey, you got an attorney cornered for another, right to the top of the hour. We're going to be going right up. We do have lines open, 888-344-1170. Let me know if you got a question and I'd be happy to answer that for you. Okay. If you want to talk to me personally about this stuff, my office number, you can do it offline without calling the show. It's 855-500-TRUST, 855-500-TRUST. And I'd be able to help you out. All right. The other question that came up that I thought was very interesting is, wouldn't it be better, instead of putting my investment account into my trust, wouldn't it be better to just give power of attorney to my son? I'll just give him a general durable power of attorney, Gary, because you've explained that to us before. Okay. What's the plan with that? Let's talk about general power of attorney. Okay. A power of attorney is a document that authorizes a person to act in your name. A general power of attorney authorizes that person to do anything that you could do. Anything. They could sell your house. They could sell your car. They could cash in your investments. They can write checks. They can close your bank account. They can, they can do anything that you could do. Okay. That to me is really powerful. And depending on your circumstances, that may be way too powerful. Horror stories come out of general power of attorneys. And so I don't particularly like them unless the situation warrants it. So I don't just, every estate plan, I'm doing a general power of attorney. I do limited power of attorneys to allow your power of attorney to do certain things that would benefit you. Like, for example, maybe they would have the authority to take a bank account and put it in the trust, or put money in the trust, but not to spend it in their own way. We're going to be talking about this coming up again when we return from our really quick break, 888-344-1170. I'd love to hear from you. We're going to have lines open, 888-344-1170. Call me up right here on the Word on Wealth, and we'll be back in a second.
You don't need to know everything.
Chad said that you never got back to him over the email. He's been bombarding me today, so you might want to
Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Well, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, gqlaw.com.
Your life.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much, my friends, for being along. I hope you are enjoying this show. I am. I'm enjoying teaching and helping you understand what's going on with these power of attorney things. So you can see with the power of attorney, it makes a big difference on whether you want to give somebody that much power. So I'm just going to, this is a story that was kind of hard to believe. It was this long time ago, and I'm altering the names. I'm not going to give any names, just give you the generics. Okay. So, this is all true. I'm not making this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up. I'm not this creative. What happened is the mom was convinced in her own mind or whatever that, you don't want to talk to attorneys because they're just going to line their pockets with your money or whatever. She didn't trust attorneys. She did trust her son. So to make it so that when she passed away, she wanted to make sure that her son got the home, and she didn't trust the will, the trust, doing her own trust or anything like that. So she decided that she would deed the house to her son. And so she did. Now he was the homeowner of it, the owner of her own house that she lived in. About 10 years later, when she was about 80 years old, she found somebody that she had a good time with she started to kind of do things a little bit, get out of the house. She would start to go to the movies, and she would go out to dinner, and she'd spend time with this person who was quite a bit younger than her. Well, there's nothing awful going on, but what the son did is he was now the owner of her house to try to avoid having a trust and all that stuff. And she had given him a general durable power of attorney, which would authorize him to do whatever he wanted because it was the general power of attorney. Well, the son was not happy with her, quote, dating and going out on the town and spending, her late 70s and early 80s. He didn't want his mom with this younger man. So he decided that her behavior was inappropriate and according to him, and believe me, there was nothing bad going on, really wasn't. She didn't even have any money. I mean, she'd given the house to her son and given him power of attorney and all that. So this guy wasn't like, digging on her because of her fancy wealth or, or Bentley or something like that. So the son actually told her if she didn't stop going out on the town and, and behaving her own age, that he would not allow her to live in his house. He evicted his mother. I know this sounds insane. He evicted his mother. It was his house. He had a power of attorney. He prevented her and he took her money out of the bank account. Totally legal because he has the power of attorney. So he can go to the bank, close her account, take all the money out. So basically he strapped her to where there was no cash. Well, attorneys got involved because she was really upset. That's my house. Well, she actually deeded it to her son to avoid attorneys helping her out. And then it was like, and he's taken all my money. Well, with the power of attorney, it wasn't her money. He could share in whatever he wanted to because the general power of attorney said that he could. Why does Gary Quackenbush not like general power of attorneys? Because they're way too powerful. If you need it for a particular purpose, let's talk about it. Let's talk about why you think you need one. Because if your bank account is in the trust, if your investment accounts are in your trust, if your house is in your trust, what do you need a power of attorney for? You really don't. I had somebody I was talking to just yesterday, day before, about helping with like financing a piece of property. And mom owned this piece of property, and she didn't really want to be involved in it. She wanted her son to have the authority to help out. So we put together a power of attorney so that he could help out for that transaction. And that's what allowed him to do that transaction, access certain bank accounts, but it was specific. General power of attorneys, I just don't like them. I know a lot of people do them. I know a lot of attorneys do them. I just don't like them because the bank, if you go into the bank with a general power of attorney, that gives you the authority to do what you want with their money. That's the bottom line. So I don't like them. I'd rather have it in the trust. Because if you think about it, while mom is alive, she is her own trustee. So if the son wanted to go into the bank and get into her trust bank account, the bank would say, well, who are you? Well, I'm her successor trustee. Oh, well, is your mom dead? No. Is she incapacitated? No. Yeah. Prove it. I need doctor's letters. I want to see why you think you have the right to be the successor trustee and come in and take this money out of the bank account. Because the trust wants to see, the bank wants to see the trust document, and they want to see death certificates or a declaration of incapacity, whatever it is that would put you in the seat as successor trustee. That doesn't happen with a power of attorney. Okay. Now there is a thing called a springing power of attorney, where if you have declarations of incapacity, then you have the ability to use that power of attorney. Great. But if you have a living trust, you don't need that. I mean, do a limited power of attorney. Do it for a specific or particular purpose that you anticipate. If you have a power of attorney that allows someone to transfer your bank accounts, your finance accounts, your deposit accounts, all those things, it allows them while you're still alive, but now incompetent. It gives them authority to transfer those monies to the trust. That works, because then you can move that money to the trust and you have control of it as successor trustee, and you can use it to take care of your mom and her medical care and her medical needs and all that. But it's all done through the trust. That's my preferred way of doing it. I know there are other opinions out there. I am not, I'm not saying I'm the only one. I'm not the only authority on this matter. I'm not the one that wrote the law. I just know how the law works, and I just don't like them. So if you've got one and you're comfortable with it, that's all good. If you ask me to give you a general durable power of attorney, I'm going to go through quite an exercise with you, not to torture you, but I'm going to go through an exercise with you to make sure that that really is something that is needed and something that would benefit you, because I'm going to have to be your attorney and I'm going to act like a fiduciary for you. Okay. Last couple of things I wanted to go over today so that we have a little more information. Tomorrow we don't talk about estate planning that much. We've got we're going to have our author and writer Chad Stewart with us in studio, and we're going to be having a great time asking him questions and all that. If you do have questions about anything we're talking about, you can call me at my office, 855-500-TRUST. If you have an estate plan and you're wondering whether it's good, whether it's workable, whether it needs to be changed, I'm happy to review it for free for my listeners. You need to tell them that you heard me on this show, and the number's 855-500-TRUST, 855-500-TRUST. Let me look at your trust and make sure everything's good. I also found the last couple of days houses that the client, the listener, basically was coming in saying, "Is my house in the trust?" And I looked at it, I said, "No, it looks like it might be, but no, it wasn't ultimately. We want to make sure that your property is properly in your trust." Okay. One other thing with power of attorney that I thought would be interesting is there such a thing as a limited power of attorney? And the answer is yes. Okay. Example, I had it was a husband and wife team, and they were refinancing the property, their home, their principal residence, and they're right in the middle of the finance, and the husband was going to leave on this cross-country motorcycle trip with his friends, but the financing on the house wasn't done. They still had, some more documents to provide, and there were still some things that had to be done before they could get the refinancing, and it was important that they got that done. But it was very important for him to go on his motorcycle trip. So he came in to get a power of attorney. We talked all through it, and he said, "I just need a general power of attorney to give my wife the authority to do whatever." And I said, "Well, a general power of attorney will let her do anything in your name." So we settled on a limited power of attorney that made it so that he was giving his wife the authorization to work on anything to do with the refinance, and signing documents, providing documents, disclosing information about him personally, signing in his behalf, signing his name if she needs to. All that stuff was authorized in the power of attorney, but that's it. And it was limited. It was only going to be a 6-month power of attorney. Well, you might think, well, that seems kind of funny with this wife. Well, the scenario is kind of funny if you think about this. Refinancing is a pain, and it's a lot of work. If you use my people, it's not as bad, but
2 minutes.
They were having a struggle getting through this refinance. And so husband, remember what he's doing? He's going on a ride across the nation, coast to coast, with his friends and leaving his wife to do the work. And so he was worried, rightfully so, I think, that if he gave his wife general power of attorney, that maybe he'd come home and the house wouldn't be in his name, or that maybe she wouldn't even be around. So it's kind of funny. That was his concern. And I'm not saying they were planning on divorcing or whatever, but it was just funny. I was just kind of laughing, like, well, why are you not trusting your wife? He said, well, she's very supportive of this trip. She's just a little annoyed that I'm going to be gone for like 6 weeks. That's a long time on a motorcycle ride. So she wanted to make sure his will and trust were in order and that there's a power of attorney so she could finish the financing. So kind of a cute story, but that's the way it works. All right. So good to have you along today, friends. We will be back tomorrow with Chad Stewart, author, soon to come up with a movie. It's going to be really fun. We're going to talk about his book and some things he's got going on, which I'm just really excited about. So I hope I know you guys are going to enjoy what we're going to be talking about with Chad. It's just, he's an interesting guy. He's a friend of Noah Dingley, my producer. Just going to be good to be talking about his book called Britfield and the Britfield series. And what is that all about? There's a theatrical play coming up. There's a potential movie. So we get on the end part of this. It's going to be fun to kind of see what's going on from the kind of the start of it, instead of like, oh, there's a blockbuster movie. It's like, how does that happen? Is that going to happen with Chad? Love to see that. So he's going to be on with us tomorrow. You guys, I hope you have a rest of your day. That will be awesome. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, same time, same station here on the Word on Well.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995 with financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help you preserve your family's financial future. The information you hear on the
All right. Thanks, Gary. Email. I mean, I've already told him, but you might want to just email Chad real quick.
legal
Thanks, bud.